Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our preview show, and we're looking ahead at two massive senior semi-finals coming up on Friday and Sunday, and also the junior final coming up on Sunday as part of a double header with the Greymore and Cleavy game. So we'll be hearing from the two captains of the junior final. That's Peter Quinn of Lesummon and Pauric Kelly of Derrynoose at the end of the show. But first up, Peter Nugent and Tommy Coleman are going to join me, and we're going to talk about the two semi-finals. And as usual, we're just going to go through them as they're coming. So we'll do the Friday and then Sunday. And as always, this podcast brought to you in association with McKeever Teamwear, proud supplier of all Armagh GA merchandise. So, man, we'll get stuck into it. It's Friday night. It's the big one, probably the biggest game of the championship so far this year. It's Mahare and Crossmaglen. And Tommy, this is a huge one. The two teams have built up such a great, entertaining rivalry over the last, 5 or 6 years it is. And this is just going to be another chapter of that rivalry.
Oh, it is, yes. It's one, not one for the faint-hearted. You know, it's been, these boys have been through the mill. They've had some great battles over the years, and this one will be exactly the same. I can't see, it'll go right down to the wire. Massive men on both sides. And we're just talking about Kevin Falloon's going to be refereeing it, so it's going to be a physical encounter. Kevin will try and let the game go as much as he possibly can. So, everybody be looking forward to this one.
And Peter, just looking at the two teams and the recent history of them, obviously the last time they met in the championship was the 2020 final, which Mahare won. But their last 8 meetings of league and championship, Cross have only won once, and that was the 2019 semi-final. Of the last 8 teams that they've played, Cross have only won one. The last 5 times they've played in league and championship, Mahare have won them all. So there's not many teams that have that sort of Indian sign over Crossmaglen for the last 25 years or so.
No, Sean. You can round it up by saying that Mahare are the only team I think that have beat Cross more than once, probably in the last, how many years you want to put on it in knockout championship. They're the only team that's been able to knock them out of the championship in more than one season. So they are the nearest thing Cross have to probably a real genuine ding-dong rivalry in Armagh football, where there's really never a day where they turn up thinking, yeah, we're favourites to win this, or we're definitely going to win this. Mahare have definitely had that Indian sign over them. But I suppose you look at it the other way then, and you think that a lot of times teams that are coming up to play across are looking Cross to maybe slightly take their eye off the ball or show a level of complacency. But unfortunately for Mahare, that's not going to be really on the cards, because this is the one team that the Cross will know that they have to pay the utmost respect to on every single day, and the record that Mahare have over them over the last 2-3 seasons has been nothing but superb.
And Tommy, is that an aspect going into this game that, no disrespect to Silverbridge or Drummond, but we all expected Crossmaglen to come through that, and you'd have to be very optimistic to have ever backed Silverbridge or Drummond, but Cross coming into this one, they maybe haven't hit their standard or performance levels that we're used to seeing from them, but they know if they don't get to that level this week, they're going to be out of the championship. Like that's the calibre of team they're coming up against.
Yeah, they know they're going to have to bring their A game on Friday night. And anything short of their A game won't do. And with all respect, Silverbridge and Drummond both had them on their rack, and but I would say, but for the Blackyard again, Silverbridge out there, Silverbridge really did have it in the bag. In my opinion, I couldn't see where Cross were going. It was just with that their Blackyard decision. Rain was able to come out, direct the time more, and they were very good at using the extra man. Their own case of indiscipline, then they cost them and give Drummond tea. So no, they're going to have to lift their game really, really. They're going to have to play the best they've played this year if they're going to be at Mahare. Because Mahare has come through a real ding-dong battles, two big games, and a really fancy Harps team, a really fancied Nab team, and they've done, they've been able to do the business both times, and that appetite and desire that they have as well, and that sheer doggedness that they won't be, that they think they bring the championship football. And yes, maybe they carried their luck a wee bit against the NAB. There's nobody going to deny that. The Mahare men won't even deny that themselves. But you're going to win any championship, you need that wee bit of luck too. It's that they're hard to win. Cross is going to have to match all that. They're going to have to match all that. And I haven't seen that in them as yet. And come Friday night, possibly, because it's Mahare, that'll bring the best out in them. And that's what makes us so intriguing.
And Tommy, I suppose we're talking about Mahare sort of having the Indian sign over Cross the last few years. Anytime they've really beat them in the championship, it's been a feature of the game has been their long ball tactic into the edge of the square. Now they've even done this when Paul Hardy was in nets, and it still worked. Ronan Lappin got a goal one night, I remember, in 2017, a long ball into the square. So we spoke the last day that possibly Cross's weakest line is their full back line. And Drummond T got a goal, a high ball into the square. Cahill McKenna punched it to the net. This is going to be a tactic that we're going to see. Mahare have used it, and they've used it to good strength the last number of years. So do you see, will it be McElmurray? Will Ronan Lappin come in? Will they switch? Will they both go in and play like a twin tower effect, like the Kerry team of 08? But what do you see them? Do you see them doing this, and who do you see them using?
I think they'll probably start with McElmurray in, but I do think they'll rotate. I think they'll bring McElmurray out and put Lappin in. And at some stage, whatever way, depending on what way the games proceed, Aidan will probably go in at some stage as well. And then maybe try and isolate him one-on-one on there if they can. We'll have to see will Morgan pick him up or not. But they'll rotate that there in round. But I think that they will, whatever opportunity they get, they'll pepper that there full back line, and they'll try and expose it. Because, we're seeing that if Cross do have a weakness, that is where they are, because maybe the play is so open and they don't play really with a sweeper. I know Warren drops back somewhat, but he's not an out and out, where you have all teams just playing with double sweepers and everything else. Just not the way Cross plays football. And it's great playing. I love to watch them playing, because they play in the ethos that I believe that Gaelic football should be played in. But at that time as well, the players that are in there can be exposed, and there's no doubt that the boys will put the big ball in, well, but McElmurray or well, but Lappin. I do think both of them will play in there at some stage. I think they'll change and rotate that there around. And I do think Aidan will definitely be in there at some point.
And Peter will obviously talk more about Aidan Falco when we'll come to our matchup section. But Aidan, it's such a debate where to play him, where's his best position. He started in Rory Grugan against the NAB, went off injured, come back on, played in the forward line. He's played everywhere for them. He's played midfield, full forward. Cross is going to have a plan for him, wherever he plays. If it's in on Ryan O'Neill, if it's going to be at centre half forward, at full forward, James Morgan possibly picks him up. But Cross, they're going to have a plan for both where Aidan Falker is and this long ball tactic as well.
Yeah, I suppose ordinarily Mahare would love to have the situation where they could afford to play in the full forward, because I genuinely do think at this level, especially as he showcased in the 2020 final, when the supply's right and you're going to go potentially man to man on him, like that's food and drink to him, and he's going to eat that up. The issue I think potentially is Mahare could be compromised with a couple of the more seasoned players, maybe either not deemed fit to start or struggling for full fitness, and they may feel to a degree that they can't afford to sacrifice Aidan playing high up the field when he's potentially going to be needed out in the thick of the action, whether that be playing as a 6 or maybe a half forward dropping in as Mahare like to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in that regard. If you're in Stephen Kieran's shoes, I think you would prefer to see Aidan playing maybe further out the field. And it'll be interesting to see what tactical approach Cross do take on this, because in the final in 2020, you can't really dress it up. They left a lot of space in behind, and Mahare exploited that. And Ian Faulkner really cut loose that day. Really, him and Brian Fox, they just had the cross defence on ice the whole time, and it was every time Mahare came forward in that second half, it looked like there was a goal on, and I think they ended up scoring 2 goals at the back end of the first half and 2 goals in the second half, and that really just made it mission impossible for Cross. So Cross are going to have to play with some level of conservatism, I think, in terms of whether it's Aaron Kiernan sort of really does, because how Mahare set up, it's going to allow Cross a couple of +1s across their defence. Mahare players are going to not waste any time in getting behind the ball, so Cross will have an opportunity to kind of mirror that. Whether they want to go with Aaron Kieran as like a nominal sweeper, or maybe even like Stephen Morris maybe might have a role to play in just sitting at the base and sort of dropping with the play as maybe the counter attacks unfold. It'll be hard to know. I know they've Tony O'Callaghan as well, who may line out and just play as a covering player at the back as well. It'll be a lot based around what Mahare do with their forwards when they're out of possession. If Mahare keep players up, traditionally they don't. Traditionally they maybe keep Brian Fox up, they keep McElmurray up, and the rest will then gravitate in behind maybe the 70-metre line and get their shapes set up. So it's nearly a game within a game, and all the different sort of tactical situations that can evolve. But you would have to feel ultimately that Cross McLean will have learned. They will have taken learnings. They surely have to have taken learnings from that game in 2020. And I understand that their mantra is always to play good, honest, man-to-man football. But if Mahare do go with Aiden inside, if he does have a spell inside, that play with a wee bit of conservatism and make sure that it's just not easy one kick football inside him, because if it is, he make it difficult for anybody in there.
And I think, Tommy, when Mahare do drop back like that, they have breakout runners then, if depending on where Aiden's playing, if he's going to be part of the counter-attack. Stephen Faulkner showed the last day that he can still pop up. He got 3 points again. Ballymcnabb, Stephen Cusack, obviously, he's renowned for that, breaking out of pace and coming up the field. It's a difficult one for Cross what to do here. If they do go man-to-man, it's very hard to chase back and follow them, whatever it is, 8 or 10 men breaking forward. So they probably are going to have to leave 1 or 2 at the back just to be safe and deny any quick ball into the likes of Faulkner or Robinson or Fox or whoever it's going to be up there.
Well, if they don't drop somebody back in and these boys put that long ball in, they play that ball over the top, and you see, as Peter said, if you have a Fox or Robinson or with McElmurray, one or either with him, because there will be 2 of them there. Them all 2 boys are very, very pacey and could take a score out of nothing. So Brian Fox is yet to get a goal. It was just unlike him in this championship. He's always in, and he's in around that periphery. Once he gets that ball, he's direct and he goes. So I think, for me, if I was again, what we always did do, we always made sure we had somebody in that they're covered and in that their scored zone, in the D zone, so that their ball was hard to play it, and try to maybe force them to carry it. So they were dropping off into you, so you were able to engage them higher up the field, and as they were coming out in their half of the field, rather than letting them come right on down in and have maybe 1-2 sitting, because as Peter says, they drop everybody back in, and they're brilliant at it. Yeah. And they're very confident on the ball, and that they'll keep the ball in their own area, and they'll move it around, and they'll probe. Lowry's definitely going to be sounds of things. He's definitely going to be out. He's a great man for coming out and breaking out. He's not going to be there either. That their pace. He's going to be a miss. And we don't know. We just don't know where Higgins is. Whether Higgins is able to play or not, and he could be key to where this game goes. He limped off badly the last night, and Mahare boys will be hoping. I know that I was talking to a couple of them last week, and their biggest worry was, would Higgins be fit? I haven't been talking to anybody since in the last 10 days, so I don't know. I really don't know. But he's another great outlet for him, because strength on his pace when he gets that ball and he can break that there line and away he goes. So for me, if I was in Crossfit, I would be holding somebody back in that area once they all drop back off, so that there is a safety net to cut off with the 2 boys that's left up in there.
And Peter, just on the injuries, like David Lowry, I think his shoulder's gone from the Ballymcnabb game, so he's not going to be available. Kieran Higgins, by the sounds of things, it's not looking good for him. if Higgins isn't there, it throws a spanner into the works, I suppose, for in terms of matchups, because Cross will have 3 full forwards that definitely need marked, and that's Cian McConville, Jamie Clark, and Rian O'Neill. So what do you see Mahare doing here? Does Aidan have to come back in? And we were talking off there, and we agreed that they showed a hint against Ballymacnab that as soon as the ball was through, and Aidan Fogg went straight to Rory Grugan. So maybe this management team has took the approach. He's our best man marker. He marks the best forward in the opposition team. So Aidan's possibly dropping in to mark Rian, and then they'll have to sort out who picks up Jamie and Cian as well.
Yeah, you would be thinking if Kieran Higgins isn't 100%, that outside of him, Mahare could be struggling to find a real leg to go toe to toe with Rian, and that's not being disrespectful like by any stretch of imagination to any other players, but you have to realise that you're going up against a generational talent there, and I mean it's not just anybody that can step up and do that job. So if Mahare really don't want Rian O'Neill getting the stamp as authority in this game early on. They really don't want him, maybe slamming over a few 45s, taking a few kickouts, directing traffic with minimal pressure on him. For me, they have to get on the end of his boot from the get-go. They have to make it attritional with him, see can test his temperament out, get him maybe, involved off the ball. I know that's all cynical stuff, but you're talking about a top player, and you're looking at a referee that lets a bit go. So play the game within the rules of how the game can be played on any given night. So Mahare can sort of set themselves up. If Rian plays out in the middle, I'm sure they'll have ideas on how they can get in amongst them. That's not to say that it would be enough, but it's ideas on how to break his flow in the game. Inside, I was just saying off further before we come on just how good I thought Clark was the last day against Drummond T. I mean, we were talking about in the intermediate games and how we thought some of the decision making up front sort of left a bit to be desired in some of the games. When the game's in the melting pot, this boy just makes the right decision all the time. He just locks ball in with velvet hands, and then if the support's there and there's somebody in a better position, it's going. If he needs to go it alone and create space for somebody else and get offloads later on, he can do that. And then if he needs to, he's well capable of kicking his own scores. So he, to me, looks like he's back playing with. He's bringing a lot of maturity to that cross forward line, which is for the most part it's not. I'm not saying it's inexperienced, but it is young. And there's a lot of lads there that are still sort of finding their way in across Jersey. So to have him back up there taking some of the responsibility again up front will do wonders for the rest of them, really. So it could be Oisin Loppin picking him up. He might play just as a nominal 3. I'm picking him up because Paul Martin really give it to him. But Clark's class, class is permanent in this case, and he's still, no matter who's on him, he's going to win ball out in front. If Cross can move it and transition it quick enough, like we know they can, he simply will win it. That's what he's done for a full career, and he's not showing any signs like he's going to be at that right now. So he'll still win ball. It's how can you bottle him up? Can you stem the tide of players coming in support? And I think Mahare do that well, because they'll fall back in, they'll shut down the options for him once he is on the ball, and they may just get enough bodies around that to slow up the speed of the cross attack. And then Cian McConville, who I'm a huge fan of, he's just really been so consistent over the last 2 or 3 years. You might see Brandy Haven going toe to toe with him. That could be a good battle, because Haven could probably pair up well with him in terms of speed over the ground, tenacity. He's aggressive. But as Tommy touched on just off there as well, we could see Owen Scullion come in. Scullion could come in and maybe go on Clark, maybe a free up Loppin, maybe to push out onto maybe Comiskey or pick up maybe Darragh Callahan or Cian Finnegan. It just sort of depends on. It's hard to tell at this stage, I suppose, what the Mahare management's thoughts are. But I do know this. I think they've a lot to be concerned with. In the cross attack, they have a lot to be concerned with. And if they're down bodies, or they're concerned about certain bodies, then I'd be slightly concerned.
Tell me, before we move on to our predictions, is it too simple to say that this is the best forward line in the county coming up against the best defensive in the county, and whoever comes out on top is going to win the game?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the best forward line or not. I think there's other teams out there who have some damn good forwards, but are not playing out to their full potential yet. I think they have the quality, across that do have, they're definitely one of the best. Mahare have probably one of the best defensive systems, if not the best defensive system. Individually, as players, would it be man for man the best defence? Arguably, maybe yes, maybe not, but certainly as a structured defence and the way that they play, there's no question about it. They are definitely best defence. Jamie coming back is has been a big boost for him, and I didn't see him again. Drummond, I'd only seen him in a couple of league matches, and I think I had said that he had a bit to go, and these league matches would only happen, come the championship. And of all kinds, Peter said he was very good against Drummond. So when you sit down and you're actually trying to do this job of getting your matchup rates against Crossbig Lane, it's really, really difficult of who you go and who you go. I've been there, wore the t-shirt and had a lot of sleepless nights, over it. Where you go, I could put him in and do it. And this is where Mahare will be the winning or the losing to the match. For me, as I say, Scullion will look, I think, probably be the man that probably go to Jamie Clark. It'll go on to Kane. I don't see anything because, and then with Campbell maybe somewhere in the mixer too.
Yeah.
Jared Campbell, terrific player. I know he's 40, 41, 42, whatever he is now, but he's still a great player. He's still a great end. He still gets up and down. And, I think both ourselves in 2020 and used even a fortnight ago just know what he's still capable of doing. And he could be so, I don't know why he'd start or not. It depends. I think it depends. I know Lowry's definitely looks like he's definitely right. And it depends probably on where Higgins is at what time they'll introduce Campbell, but Campbell will certainly be another man's capable of doing a good job for Mahare anywhere in that their field, anywhere.
And Tommy, we've discussed it all, we've tried to analyse it all. How do you see it going? Who's going to win this game?
Well, it could go. Do you know what? There's a man there I haven't mentioned. I think a lot. His team depends a lot on him, and he has not been firing on all cylinders this year. For whatever the reason of it is, I think from what I can gather, he wasn't well again for a couple of weeks prior to the Silverbridge game. I'm talking about James Morgan.
Yeah.
He wasn't, he got concussed against Drummond, had to come off early. And if he's not firing on all cylinders, because he is one man when they're coming out that Owen used to be able to do this time after time after time, but obviously now, as others get older, he just can't do it all the time. But Morgan was the man last year that, he picked the ball up and he was able to drive and he was able to bring it through and bring it into the danger zone for Cross to get their scores and everything else. So we found him to be really the main man, so to speak. I know Rian was getting a lot of it because of the scores and I was taken, but the driving force behind him was Morgan, and Morgan has been there this year. And if I don't know where he is at this minute with his fitness levels, because he's just a brilliant operator when he's at full tilt. But I don't know, I haven't seen Cross at full tilt all year. And for me, it's just, I know Mahare are an aging team, but I just think there's something about them this year. And you know what? They did carry that wee bit of luck in the semi-final again the NAB. And you know what? We all need that wee bit of luck at times just to get you over the line. So for me, I'm going to go for Mahare just to edge it.
Peter, what do you think? I know James Morgan, should have talked about him. Tell me, an absolute game changer for Crossbig Lane. If he's not available, it's a massive chance for Mahare to get another one over them. And the same with Kieran Higgins for the Mahare team. game changer for them. So it's hard to make our predictions when we don't actually know who's fit and who's available. But Peter, throw it over to you. Who do you see coming out on top?
This is very difficult to call. But having given it a bit of thought, I think I have a bit of reasoning behind what I'm going to go for. I think that I don't think Mahare played particularly well against Balmagnov. I think that's a fair comment to make. I also think though in that game they had a lot of reasons not to win the game, and they found a way to do it. And a lot not going for them right throughout the course of the game. Personnel limping off, hobbling off, coming back on. A lot of upheaval within the game for them, and they consistently found a way to stay in the game. And then when it came down the straight, they just dipped into that big bank of experience and muscle memory really that they have. As Tommy touched on with their age is not always a bad thing. Age is huge experience accumulated, huge know-how, being in situations and knowing how to deal with the rough and the smooth and keep your composure and just go for the next ball. And Mahare have that over the majority of this cross team. The majority of this cross team still only finding their way. Staffan Forker's a player we haven't spoke on yet, and he had a huge burn on the game in the quarter final. Now, if you're cross mid-lane, you're looking at Staff and you think, well, he doesn't particularly play up front, but he still contributes 3 or 4 points a game. He comes late onto the play, and it's clearly something they're working on. He forages around the middle, he supplements his defense, gets turns over, and then he breaks, and he is relentless in his breaking. He's nearly playing like a vintage Brand Duher type role, only he's probably contributing even more scores, and he was a complete handful. For you, Sean, he just kept Mahare in the game on the scoreboard nearly single-handedly. So what Cross and Lane do with him? Do they accept that he's going to be out of the danger zone for large parts of the game? And when he does enter there, do they pick him up? That's dangerous because Staffan only needs 1-2 steps on the ball and he's firing it over from anywhere inside the 50. Or do they send a player to tag him full time? Now that could be Paul Hughes. They might even put James Morgan on him. And for me, that could be something that Cross could look into because Staffan Forker is a serious operator at this level. He's a serious operator and he has been for a long time. We talk about Aiden and we talk about Michael Murray and Brian Fox and these boys, but Staffan Forker for me is really the player that's been making Mahare tick and been making him tick for a long time. So what Cross do with him, if Cross can get a handle on Staffan Forker, I'll just look at what they have coming forward from midfield up, and it's a serious amount of talent. It's a serious amount of talent. You've got Ronan Fitzpatrick. I think this is his second year, but he is filling out into a serious piece of kit. And they actually moved him to full forward against Drummond in extra time. He caused a world of bother up there, winning high direct ball played into him. So they've got that in their armour as well. If they want to go with like a target man, they don't always have to go with a rain in. They can push him in. He's got good feet. And you got Steve Morris who can kick. There's two scores a game on him if he's on the mood. And Rain coming from that type of range to supplement what they already have up front. I just feel like they're probably due to beat Mahare, and if they can take all of the experiences that they've had against Mahare over the last 2 or 3 years and put them all those experiences to rights now, I think they can do it because I'm just concerned that Mahare maybe could be a wee bit leggy with the players carrying injuries and things like that. And you don't know what's going on in any camp, obviously, but just from the last day against Balmagnov, from what I've seen. But you have to listen, to round it up, Mahare are just unbelievable side and the way they play football and how dogged and resilient they are every single day. You just get 10 out of 10 across the board from them in all the things that, don't require any skill. You get 10 out of 10 from them in all them things. And that's why they're always there, always in the fight, always going to the death. So it won't be easy. But I think Cross potentially, if they can move the ball and bypass, not let Mahare get in and get them suffocated. If they can move it quickly and they're the best team at doing that, then I think they'll just have enough. But I hope the game lives up to its billing because it's two teams that can put on a real show for us.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. I think we've spent near half an hour talking about that game, so we better move on. But for what it's worth, I'm just gonna edge with Crossmaglen as well. I think what Peter said was spot on. If Crossmaglen have learned anything from the 2020 final tactically, and they get their matchups right, I think they should have enough to come through. But as usual, it's on a knife edge. Like Mahare could easily turn them over as well, so it's impossible to call it. I was going to go with draw just to be safe, but I'll put my neck out a wee bit and I'll say Crossmaglen to come through. Who's going to play them? That'll be decided on Sunday. Then it's Greymore and Cleavy. And Tommy, I remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the quarter-final clashes, and we were saying about Greymore and Mullabone, whoever come through, it was a massive chance to reach a semi-final. Cleavy and Clondegale, it was a massive chance to reach a semi-final. Greymore and Cleavy's here. It's a massive chance to reach a championship final. Greymore, they've never been there before. Cleavy haven't been there from 1988. They haven't won it from 1948. So this is a huge weekend for both clubs.
I didn't realise it was as long for Cleavy since they've been in a final even.
I hope I have that right. Hope my research is right.
And 48 from they've won it, won one. And Greymore never been in one.
Never been in the final.
It is. Look, I'm sure the two teams, underneath it all, were delighted when that draw came out, because they would have gone going home up the road going, do you know what? We have a real chance here getting to the final. Greymore, really, really dogged, hard team to beat. They're well organised, defensively. They've been around here for 4 or 5 years, and they've had a couple of semi-finals in the past. They probably think that this is going to be their best opportunity, because there is some of these lads that probably getting to the end of their careers. I think we spoke about that before. There wouldn't be a whole lot left there with them. On the other side, you have Cleavy, a young up-and-coming team who's been in a couple of semi-finals of his last 2 years, isn't it? There last year, and they were there the year before.
2020 and 2019.
Yep, so the 2020, 2019. So they've been about, they're getting just that wee bit older. The thing with them, and close when we get talking about it after, is have a lot of players out. But to me, I have been impressed with them when I have seen them. But I have to say, when I watched them at the Clans, if I'm going to be honest, and I may as well be honest when I'm on the podcast, I was disappointed at the way that they sort of reverted back to where they had been playing before, and their lateral play and their backward play. And for me, with the players that they have up front and the speed and the pace that they have up front, why they don't move that ball quicker, because when they do move that there, they're a very, very difficult team, to stop. And it's an interesting, it's going to be two contrasting styles. It's probably two styles the same, but the Cleavy are capable of playing a different road, and we'll just have to wait to see what way they do go out and play. But I can't, it's another one. It's going to be another one very, very difficult to call. But you're right. These two teams have been working hard this last fortnight, and they're going to be saying, "This is our real chance."
And Peter, Tommy touched on it there. Like Greymore have been there; they've been in semi-finals before. They've been to the latter end of championship before. Cleavy obviously have as well more recently. 2020 they were in the championship semi-final against Crossmaglen. Cleavy have been a common team. We've been waiting on this Cleavy team to come and make the breakthrough. It looked like they were going to do it in the league, and just circumstances outside of their control sort of denied them a league title. But injuries, and we keep talking about their injuries because they're season-end injuries, so it's going to be relevant every game that they play in. But we've been waiting on this Cleavy team to come, and Crossmaglen beat them in the championship last year, beat them in the championship the year before. So this is a huge opportunity for them. You've probably given them a bye ball because it was Crossmaglen they were coming up against, but they're heading into this one, they're probably slight favourites.
Yeah, I think 2020 they pushed Cross all the way, Sean, in the semi-final, and then last year they were well in the game against Cross in the quarter-final up until the last 6-7 minutes maybe. And my memories from that game was that Cleavy had a lot of possession. They looked the full match for Cross, really across the field, but it wasn't until Keelan McConville came on midway through the second half where they looked like they had the requisite kind of punch up front to really trouble Cross and look like they might overhaul them. Now that said, they do have other, nice forwards who can kick scores, but I felt on the day that they're a team that most definitely needs a good target man playing up front. Somebody can robustly win ball that's kicked in, because a lot of the ball they were playing on that day was, it was low percentage passes, safer football, trying to work shooting opportunities off loop runs and things like that. Whereas Cross were able to just move the ball in. So I'll hope that, I know Paul Quinn's playing up front for Cleavy now, and I think he fits that mould. But if they could get McConville in there moving beside him, that would certainly allow them to open up a bit more and know that they can trust to let that ball in. And of course, the good shooters in off that. Young McNamee is a really sure-footed attacker when he gets.
He's injured. He's out.
He's out as well, is he? I didn't know he was injured as well. So look, there's another one there down. So yeah, I think it's now McGuinness up front as well, who's sort of been building over the last couple of years. But Cleavy's biggest strength is probably their overall cohesiveness, probably a defence first team. I think they're actually strong enough to back, to go a bit more expansive than they do sometimes. And I don't think they'll be too worried about missing out in the league if they're sitting on Sunday night with a championship final to look forward to. But this has probably been a project for them that's been moving this way for a while now, consistently contributing good underage teams or teams in Division 1 and underage and minor and things like that, contributing Armagh players at underage. And now you're seeing with Conor O'Neill and Kieran O'Hanlon, Shea McGill, all up there with Armagh, and probably a few more within this current team that would be capable of making a step up maybe over the next year or two. You can see their overall profile is probably gearing up now, I would imagine, to being a serious senior championship contender over the next sort of 4 or 5 seasons with that group of players if they can keep them together.
And Peter, just on 2 players you mentioned Paul Quinn and Niall McGuinness. They've been the goal scorers for Cleavy so far. They've both scored one against Madden. They both scored one against Clonagale. Greymore don't concede many goals, and they haven't conceded one in the championship against either the Oaks or Mullabon. So something's going to have to give here. I suppose if Cleavy's going to win this, they're going to hope they can get a couple of goals. And if Greymore are going to win, they're going to definitely not. They're not going to want to concede any goals. So something's going to have to give here on Sunday. Yeah,
but Greymore, tactically solid, well set up, won't concede much ground defensively, and my own thoughts is potentially this game could be a real war of attrition. You could see both teams kind of backing off, retreating, happy to have with the hold, come break us down, and then let's see who can do better on the counter attack. And I know Greymore been coached by Niall McAleen. He's from Warren Point. But he would have a good record in down football. So they're obviously investing in their overall structures and their overall, where they see that team going. And the staying up again in 1A, very important, because it's continually getting them the exposure against the Cross McLeans, the Clan Irons, etc., week on week. And it really isn't probably any great surprise that the 4 teams we have left are all in Division 1A. Getting that experience against each other week in, week out is only enabling them teams to sort of problem solve and see where they're going wrong week to week, because they're getting exposed by the best teams. So it's a big opportunity. Greymore probably will win, I'd imagine, slightly as underdogs maybe, but they wouldn't have it any other way, I don't think. And potentially, as you alluded to, the amount of narrow misses they've had in the championship, especially in semi-finals, I think against mainly yourselves, probably will put them. They will know that Cleavy don't have any great pedigree. They're not coming up against a team that's been there and done it. They'll know that they're very much in with a shout here.
And Tommy, just going on the midfield battle that we're going to see, probably two real old-fashioned midfielders that both teams have. They like to go long. They like to make it a real. I know against Mullabon, Greymore made that a real war zone. Like, and they do that. They make that a war zone, that midfield, and they'll force you to go long with your kick out. And that's Boylan and Pete Carr, Kieran Doyle in round there. They'll throw their bodies at everything. And Cleavy with Cahill Boylan and Callum O'Hare, Conor O'Neill, possibly Jamie Cosgrove. They have a couple of big men in there too. So I think Clan sat off Cleavy for a lot and let them go short. But Shane McGill is that one over the top we've seen, of course, as well. So we could see a good old-fashioned sort of war zone battlefield, midfield battle.
Well, that's what Greymore to me. That's where the strength lies in the middle third of the field. They're huge physically. They're huge. You know, Hughes is there as well. You have Marty Carr. He'd be in around there, and then the odd side, as you say, you have Boylan on O'Hare. But the last time I watched Cleavy now, you know, Clans were able to get over the top of their middle of the field with their kick out, and you know, Young Loney and Shane McPartland in particular was absolutely superb that day. So they know that they're getting into these in around this here middle of the field. I think Greymore can win that their sector. So they do. They force them to go long and bring it into the battle into that there. It's I think that's where the key to the game will be for Greymore to win. And they're as I said, their height advantage, and I think their strength advantage as well. That'll suit them to a T. And also if Cleavy do play the slow lateral build up game, that's only going to play. That'll play into Greymore hands as well. That's a game that they'll want, and they'll be able to hit them on the break. McQuaid is, to me, is a superb footballer. I've seen him 3 times. Seen him twice against Clan Ireland. I've seen him again. I've seen him again the Oaks, and his pace from coming from deep is absolutely brilliant. And he never wastes the ball. He will lay it off the shooter or whatever it is when he has to. And like he get up to get the goal again Drummond or Mullabon, sorry, in the quarter final. So they'll sit tight. They'll squeeze that in. They'll try and get Cleavy to go along with the ball. But I think if they give the ball short to Cleavy will be able to hold it, woke it up, be more methodical coming in, and you know. But for me, if Greymore want to win the game, if they can get them to engage in the battle in that middle third of the field, I think they have enough in that area to win that.
And Tommy, I'll just stay with you here because I know you were at that Clonagale game. I haven't watched it on TV. I think Conor O'Neill started at centre half forward for Cleavy, and we've seen him down 3 years. He can play anywhere really from 6 up for Cleavy. So do you see him starting centre half forward, or do you see him moving back maybe in a freer role in the defence, or do you think will they go with that again?
He might. I think they might play them. Cleavy might look at the ball and I don't know what would be the right thing to do or not, but I think that they'll maybe play the ball shorter and maybe bring him back and play sort of in front of the middle of the field and try and let him pull the strings from there. But yeah, if they can get the ball into Quinn has done dominance in all the matches that I've seen. You know, he flicked on a couple against Madden. You know, he got a goal against Madden. He done the same against the Clans. He got the goal. He got the flick on again. He was very lucky. I judged them for a square ball. I was too far away, and the same thing again. When that ball went in early, he was able to do it. He was a good target man in there. Something that Peter was relating to earlier that they didn't seem to have it last year. To me, they didn't put the ball in, so you didn't know whether they had one or not. That's to be brutally honest about it. Again, Crossman last year, they very rarely put the ball in. They did put it in a couple of times against the Clans, and when they done that, they were very successful. So I think from there they'll play the ball to the half back line, and from there on they need to be looking to putting that ball in as early as they can. I think McConville will drop, and I think he'll play just in behind their own midfield or in front of their own midfield.
And Peter, we talked about Keelan McConville. I don't think he hasn't started a championship game maybe in 2 years. I don't know if I'm right in saying that. Like he didn't start against Cross last year. He only come on. I can't think of him starting a game before that, but he hasn't started the last 2. I think he only has maybe 30 or 40 minutes in him. But in terms of bench, he's obviously a big strength for Cleavy, that he's going to come in. And for Greymore, I know Tony McLellan come on against Mullabone. Probably the game was over at that stage, and they didn't get to utilise him at full forward as much as they might have wanted to. But they're two big full forwards at either end to be bringing in, and two men that can, make an impact.
Yeah, for sure. Tony was probably made his name as a 6, really, going back to his Armagh minor days, and then he came through and he played 6 for Armagh under 21s, and then came through, and I think he had maybe a couple of seasons with Armagh seniors as well, where he was getting game time. So he's been such a strong player for them over the last 15 years, really, more or less than ever present. But he's probably getting on that stage now in his career where maybe he's just not in the physical capacity to give consistent 60 minutes. But such a strong player, a really strong player in that sense of the word, and a composed player as well. So Greymore, very fortunate to have him still playing and coming in and letting that experience to it. And of course, you talk about Keelan McConnell. Keelan McConnell started against Grange in 2020.
That's right.
In the championship, and I know that because he left me with a lot of head scratching to do after about 6 minutes, where he had 1-1 on the board, and we were a wee bit at sea with what to do with him. So he obviously there's a lot of concern. Must be a lot of concern injury wise with him. He doesn't seem to really play a whole lot of football for them, but he is really what they need, if that makes sense, at that end of the field. And if they've been careful or cautious about what minutes he gets, it's an Armagh Championship semi-final, and your team's been drawn against, as Tommy alluded to, both teams have been delighted to get it, so they miss out on being drawn against Mahare Cross. This is as big an opportunity as may come around to make a final. So do you cut loose and say, yeah, we're going all out with our strongest possible team here from the get-go, get a foothold in the game, and then we'll see where we are? It might just be something that might be too good to turn down for Cleavy. Whether they have enough outside of him to play the type of game they're going to need to play to win the game, it's hard to know. I think the jury's still out now, and as Tommy alluded to, they are a conservative enough team. And I think what we've all been crying out for over the last couple of years was for them to maybe just open up a wee bit. That said, they did put a big score up against the Clans. Like that, I wasn't at the game, Tommy. I don't know. You'll obviously be better versed to give an account on it, but it looked like they put a big score up on the day.
Yeah, they put it up, but they were very methodical. The way they played it was very, very slow. McCall or Keelan came on when the Clans got themselves well ahead. The Clans, they brought them on just before the end of half time. Clan Gaels were moving the ball brilliantly. Absolutely first class. It was the delight to watch, actually. Not coming from Clan or Armagh. I thought the football that they played was the way Gaelic football should be played. Everything was just pinged and given as soon and as early as they can, whereas Cleavy were the opposite. And at times it just seemed to be, I remember they broke the line. There was one time they broke the line, and all you had to do was go on, push on, and stop and turn and play the ball back. And you could even see the frustration within the Cleavy support going, what's happening here? Because I think there's so much more in these boys if they just believe in themselves and go on out and say that, go to win the game. Let's go and win this game. Because they have it. I even think, with the players, that if the players, even with the players that's missing, they still have enough maybe to get over the line here if they play that their game. But I'd be very worried about that. I haven't seen it, and I just feel that they retreated into the shell to put up a score. Some of the scores, the goals enough, we can argue about that whether they were fortunate enough or whatever else. But they missed a few. But to me, the Clans missed more, and on the day, Clans were the better side. And for me, they were the better side, and Cleavy were lucky enough to get through that game. As I said, I had predicted Cleavy to win, but when I came out and was saying to myself, Clans probably should have won that. And the fact that they just didn't, a wee bit of inexperience probably cost them on the day. you know, and I don't mean this, Shane McPartland never hears us. I'm not getting at him in particular. He was absolutely superb, but he took a ball right at the end where he just caught her, the 14-yard line, and all he had to do was take the mark, stick it over the bar, and the game was over. But he tried to play the ball, lay it off. He got it laid off, and I think it's one of the Clans subs, I forget who it was, shot, but Shane McGill made a terrific save. Clans or Cleavy got down the field, and at this time did move the ball quick, and they got it out, and they got it over the bar. But I don't know, it just, you know, you're saying about big school, I just don't, I think there's far more in them on what they do, and it's maybe because Clans was so open and the type of football that they played, they maybe got them extra couple of scores, but they may, they're going to have to work it a lot quicker. And these are big men that they're going to be playing again. You know, these, and if they're going to go slow, they're going to, you know, and not use their pace. They're just, you know, these boys just hold them off all day. And they'll love it, Peter. They will absolutely love it.
So Peter, how do you see it playing out? I think going by it really depends on how Cleavy play. That is going to decide this game. Like, and obviously Greymore, we know what to expect from Greymore. We've seen it. They're such an experienced outfit, and they're good. They're really good at what they do. They're dogged side. They'll be defensive. They'll break on the counter. They'll try to get Jason O'Neill. He's the danger man. Him and Ryan Rafferty up front, and Lewis Hughes then inside. I think Hughes and Rafferty sort of play as a two-man full forward line, with Jason maybe playing sort of a deeper role, maybe at 11. So, Peter, how do you see this one going? It's, again, a difficult one to call.
I don't know, Sean. I'm nearly at an 11th hour about turn here after Tommy's pretty dominant verdict on Cleavy there. I was very much pro Cleavy up until about 90 seconds ago. So I went south after that. I genuinely could see this one going like tit for tat, right the whole way into the middle of the night. I could see this one going. I think if it's a draw full time, it's a replay in the semi-finals. So
extra time, is it?
No, replay.
Just a replay.
I genuinely think I see this going to another day, because if Cleavy are being as sort of passive as Tommy's alluding to there, then there's going to be a lot of passive sort of standoffish type football potentially within the game. And we know how if both teams sort of come with that mentality of, well, we're not going to concede much here today, then that can lead to very chess-like limit mistake type football. And that can just be trading score for score, but not with huge irregularity. So I think that there's really not much between them. And Greymore, whilst they might slightly be underdogs, I don't think they'll go quietly into the night. I think they'll see this. I know we've talked about it being a big opportunity for Cleavy, but there's a lot of lads who are Greymore that have been playing a lifetime, and they've never had as good an opportunity to get to the senior challenger final, and they won't go quietly here. As Tommy alluded to, Ciara McQuaid transferred in, and he seems to be making a big difference for them. Kieran Doyle playing around the middle of the field is on the Armagh panel this year, and he's a player making big waves for them as well. Boylan's been Brenton Boylan has been a top midfielder at senior level now for about 7 or 8 years, and he's now in the peak of his, probably coming into his peak years, if he's not already at the peak of his career. So they probably have a fair bit going for them. And you know, as I said, yeah, I would like to see both these teams going at it, and then we'll talk about it next week when it inevitably turns out a draw.
So Peter's going for a draw. Tell me, what do you think yourself?
I think Peter sits the fence far too much, John, and he's got a whole lot of splinters on his backside. But anyway, you know how much I think this Cleavy team can go and what they can do, but I have to say, you know, the last day I watched them, it was just they seemed to be ingrained in that their side of play, and if that's the way they're going to play, this game will suit Greymore down to a T. That's it. That's going to suit them. You know, if if Cleavy's going to win, they're going to have to play with pace. They're going to have to change the way that they play, and I don't think they're going to do it. I think Greymore they'll want to draw it into the battle and into the middle third, and if that there does transpire to be that way, and Cleavy do move the ball slow, Greymore will turn them over, and they'll have enough, I think, just to get over the line. It'll be, I think it's one of the few times I've won against Cleavy all year, but I'm actually just going to give it to Graham. And I think I don't think it'll be a match that'll be, remembered for being a real clinker and for the purest of the GAA. But it'll be a real, it'll probably be exciting enough because of the closeness of what it'll be. But I think it'll be a real battle. And when it comes down to a real battle, I just think that the experienced men that Greymore have, and lads has been around there for O'Neill's, Rafferty, McLennan, they know the time that's coming. It's maybe now or never, and that. Whereas Cleavy will have a lot of young lads when it's in the heat of the battle and it's tight and things are not maybe going, and they get a point or two down. Well, we're young, we've always next year and all that. So all sorts of things go through people's heads. So on that fact, I'm just going to edge. I'm just going to edge for Greymore.
Well, I'm a bit like Peter. I had Cleavy backed until this evening, but I'll have I leaving it up here. We went for a draw. We went for Greymore. I'll go for Cleavy. I'm sure some of us will be right come Sunday evening. As I mentioned, that game's the curtain raiser for the junior final. The Someone take on Derrynoose on Sunday at 4:15, I think it is. And it's worth mentioning all three games. If you're not getting to them, all three games are on Armagh TV and will be streamed live on Armagh TV. So we're going to hear from the Summon captain, Peter Quinn, and the Derrynoose captain, Pauric Kelly now, and they're going to preview the Sunday's junior final for us. And of course, we'll be bringing all the previews, updates, a few articles to build up to the matches at the weekend, and we'll have our podcast next weekend as well. So make sure to follow us on all our social media pages, on YouTube, if that's where you get your podcast, on Spotify as well. So Tommy, Peter, it's been a pleasure. I think we're near an hour there talking through them two games. So great to have you on, and thanks for giving us your detailed thoughts.
No problem. Thank you.
Peter, thanks for coming on. So we're a couple of days out from the junior championship final. You're obviously taking on Derrynoose now on Sunday. It's a big occasion for you and for the club as well.
Yeah, massive occasion for the club, especially in the year that's getting in it for the 50 years of the club. It's a privilege to be here, really. It's a privilege to captain the lads out in the athletic grounds. I guess here, it's mighty.
And as you say, it's 50 years. I think these are having a couple of big events. You have a book launch of the history of the club and up for the match for the junior final. So it's a nice build-up for you.
Yeah, for the year, so we're going to milk it a bit, I think. So yeah, there's a book launch now next year, and Murdo's done it. So I've done the book, so it's brilliant. It's good buzz about the club. People's deserved it now, for a while, so hopefully.
And it's been a good year for you throughout the league. I think he's finished third in Division 3A, so and then carried that form into the championship on 3 wins, and now he's obviously in the final.
Yeah, well, it was a good league campaign all year. We've sort of just been building around consistent, steady performances, so and here we are. So hopefully we can go one better and go the whole hog for the year at Sunday.
So obviously coming into the championship, Peter, coming in against Cleavy second, you were favourites, probably the same against Crinchco on Portmore as well. So Derrynoose, you are going to be the underdogs, but I'm sure that's not coming into your thinking coming into the final.
No, it's just we never really looked at ourselves as favourites in any of the games. Sort of just took every game as it comes. You have to beat what's in front of you, and Derrynoose is no different. Underdog title not suit us, and we're not even think about it too much. So just build on this and keep going. Take 30 minutes, first 30 minutes, and regroup at half time and go again.
And I mentioned that Portmore game in the semi-final. Nice for the club and nice for yourself, obviously, too, to get out in the athletic grounds and, more importantly, get a win in the athletic grounds.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first time there's a lot of boys that haven't had the privilege of winning in the athletic grounds in their Summon jersey. So it was a lovely feeling to get over the line finally.
And it was a tight game too. It wasn't. I know he's got a great start. He's got a couple of goals. Stephen Matthews got 2 early goals, and then Portmore sort of come back at you?
Yeah, well, we got off to a really good start with Stevie bagging a penalty and getting one off the cuff after that. It didn't play out just as handy as that for the whole 60 minutes. So it was a good hard battle to come through. That Portmore team's definitely they're a dogged team. So it'll do us no harm going into the final now.
And obviously Portmore have come down from intermediate, so you were expecting a tough test, and that's exactly what you got. And it's obviously a good feeling for you to come through that.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great buzz around the club and a great buzz when we went up the road into the Phoenix end that night. It was a great buzz for everybody involved.
And coming into this year, Jamie Lahern took over you as manager. Tell us a bit about his impact. How big of an impact has he made, and how big has he been in getting you till the day?
Jamie and Brian Larkin's been having him. It's been fantastic from the start. The boys went out at the start of the year and really believed that there was something more in this team, from where we struggled last year to even get a team on the field sometimes. But Jamie and Brian have been absolutely unbelievable. The training sessions have all been second to none, and they've just brought all the players together. Really approachable, really really compact, really unique. The buzz has been about this year has been really unique. It's been brilliant, and it's a credit to the two boys for doing it.
And I suppose just finally, Peter, you're going to be the one leading the team out now. You're going to be the one leading behind the band for the before the final. How big of an occasion or how big of an honour is that for you to be experiencing that?
It's absolutely massive for me personally. With the club starting 50 years ago, my grandfather had a big part to play in that too. And I know for myself, my sister's going to be singing the national anthem, so it's a proud moment for our family, a proud moment for our house on next Sunday. So.
Great, Peter. Thanks for coming on.
No, well, thank you.
You were on talking about the league win a couple of weeks ago, and obviously you have carried that momentum into the championship. You are now in a championship final against Lissommon, and a big honour for you to be captaining the team.
Massive honour. I mean, it's I don't know what there is to say about it. It's an honour. It's something that you dream of, and it's a complete privilege to be representing the team. Even in everything.
It's nice for you coming into this having won the league, but it's the championship. It's obviously a different competition, and it probably means more. And coming into the final, you obviously have that wee bit of experience, albeit a bad experience maybe in 2019. You were here in College Land, defeated just by 3 points.
That's right. Yeah, I mean that's fresh in a lot of the boys' minds really, and hopefully we can use that because it is such a fresh experience to push on. It's a really similar situation. We come in off the back of a tough semi-final, and then this time coming in against an opposition that we're familiar with. So we're going to try our best and use that experience to our advantage this time. And we've got a lot of boys that have been on that side in 2019, so we've got a nice mix of youth coming through as well, boys trying to earn their place on the experience from before.
And I suppose coming into this one, Paddy, you are obviously using that experience, but you have come through a lot of tough games as well to get here. Obviously Newtown in the first one was the highlight of the junior championship that weekend. That was a great game. And Middletown as well in the semi-final give you a real go. So you are coming in fresh off the back of really tough games in the championship so far.
Those games were really tough for us. The scoreline would definitely suggest all the games so far have been really tough. And we hope that that'll stand us, as would any team. We hope that we can knock them down, but we worked hard in them and we tried to sort of find our way, get a bit of a solution to the problems that was posed to us. So hopefully that'll stand in our favour coming in now.
And the 2 goals obviously he's got against Middletown. I think it's nice to mention the 2 boys that got them, Conor McNally and Stevie Keenan, both coming off the back of big injuries that have kept them out for the majority of the year. I'm sure for a Dino's perspective it was nice to see them coming in and making a difference.
It's always great to have them 2 boys back, to have all of our team back, but it should be said that those 2 boys got there on the back of hard work. They have worked extremely hard, tirelessly behind the scenes, and it's an absolute credit to them, and their place was justified. It wasn't necessarily that they're back. They've had to work hard for their place to hold another couple of guys out, so they've come back just through pure sheer determination, hard work, blood, sweat and tears. I would dread to count up the amount of hours that them boys have done in trying to rehabilitate to come back in this position, so I was absolutely delighted to see them 2 boys contribute so much, so it's great to see.
And I'm sure we'll maybe see them getting game time on Sunday as well. But Paddy, Paul Doyle obviously has come in and took over this year. and I'm sure he's a big addition to you as well. Like he's been, he's an experienced coach, and he's had success before at junior championship level. So how big has his impact been this year?
It has been a great impact between him and Mickey and Sean and Connell as well. All four of them, and JP, all five of them have been really sort of instrumental in what we've been trying to do this year. They've come with a simple enough philosophy and tried to bring it into our team. And sometimes it's difficult whenever you're coming from a bit of a change in mindset having a manager, but their influence has been massive. It's been straightforward because us boys mightn't be the cleverest by times, but it's been straightforward approach, and it's been really well welcomed, and it's great. Yeah.
And Paddy, obviously I spoke to you at the start about what an honour it is for you to captain the team, but it's a big occasion for the club as well, and I think you are involved in 3 county finals yourselves, the ladies and the Camogues as well, so it's a good time for the club.
I think it's testament to the work that has been put in at underage, and also testament to the committees that they're. I know you probably hear it all the time, it's a bit of a cliche, but the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes is just phenomenal. You just wouldn't believe it unless you're actually part of it. I can't say that I am, heavily involved in the committees behind the scenes, but it should be known that their work does not go unnoticed or underappreciated. So it's a real privilege, and it's great to see the 3 teams in the finals is testament to that.
Paddy, great for coming on. Thanks for chatting to us before the game, and best luck on Sunday.
Thanks very much, Sean. Thank you.